Ah, dang it, part two. Part two of integration and review. So, yeah, I don't know, something popped up on my screen and here we are again. So beat. So, we were just talking about mastering my stories and what are sellouts. Yeah, just different little things where sellouts are not often big events. Yeah, in fact, they're so small, they're easy for us to overlook. And so, yeah, here's an example of some sellouts. You believe you should talk to someone about concerns you have with him or her, but you don't. Yeah. You do less than your share and think you should acknowledge it, but say nothing, knowing no one else will bring it up either. You believe you should listen respectfully to feedback, but become defensive instead. You see problems with the plan someone presents and think you should speak up, but you don't. You fail to complete an assignment on time and believe you should let others know, but you don't. It's just like little things where, yeah, we kind of slip in our accountability. You know you have information a coworker could use, but you keep it to yourself. So even small sellouts like these get us started telling clever stories. When we don't admit to our own mistakes, we obsess about others' faults, our innocence, and our powerlessness to do anything other than what we're already doing. We tell a clever story when we want self-justification more than results. Of course, self-justification is not what we really want, but we certainly act as if it is. With that said, fact in mind, let's focus on what we really want. Let's look at the final master my stories skill. So it says to tell the rest of your story. Once we've learned to recognize the clever stories that we tell ourselves, we can move to the final master my stories skill. The dialogue smart recognize that they're telling clever stories. They stop and then they do what it takes to tell a useful story. A useful story, by definition, creates emotions that lead to healthy actions such as dialogue. And what transforms a clever story into a useful one? The rest of the story. That's because clever stories have one characteristic in common: they're incomplete. Clever stories omit crucial information about us, about others, and about our options. Only by including all these essential details can clever stories be transformed into useful ones. What's the best way to fill in the missing details? Quite simply, it's done by turning victims into actors, villains into humans, and the helpless into the able. Here's how. Turn victims into actors. If you notice that you're talking about yourself as an innocent victim and you weren't held up at gunpoint, ask, am I pretending not to notice my role in the problem? This question jars you into facing up to the fact that maybe, just maybe, you did something to help cause the problem. Instead of being a victim, you were an actor. This doesn't necessarily mean you had malicious motives. Perhaps your contribution was merely a thoughtless omission. Nonetheless, you contributed. For example, a coworker constantly leaves the harder or noxious tasks for you to complete. You frequently complain to friends and loved ones about being exploited. The parts you leave out of the story are that you smile broadly when your boss compliments you for your willingness to take on challenging jobs, and you've never said anything to your coworker. You've hinted, but that's about it. The first step is in telling the rest of this story would be to add these important facts to your account. But by asking what role you've played, you begin to realize how selective your perception has been. You become aware of how you've minimized your own mistakes while you've exaggerated the role of others. Turn villains into humans is the next. When you find yourself labeling or otherwise vilifying others, stop and ask, why would a reasonable, rational, and decent person do what this person is doing? This particular question humanizes others. As we search for plausible answers to it, our emotions soften. Empathy often replaces judgment, and depending upon how we've treated others, personal accountability replaces self-justification. For instance, that coworker who seems to conveniently miss out on the tough jobs told you recently that she could see you were struggling with an important assignment, and yesterday, while you were tied up on a pressing task, she pitched in and completed the job for you. You were instantly suspicious. She was trying to make you look bad by completing a high-profile job. How dare she pretend to be helpful when her real goal was to discredit you while tooting her own horn? Well, that's the story you've told yourself. But what if she were really a reasonable, rational, and decent person? What if she had no motive other than to give you a hand? Isn't it a bit early to be vilifying her? And if you do, don't you run the risk of ruining a relationship? Might you go off half-cocked, accuse her, and then learn you were wrong? Our purpose for asking why a reasonable, rational, and decent person might be acting a certain way is not to excuse others for any bad things they may be doing. If they are indeed guilty, we'll have time to deal with that later. The purpose of the humanizing question is to deal with our own stories and emotions. It provides us with still another tool for working on ourselves, first by providing a variety of possible reasons for the other person's behavior. In fact, with experience and maturity, we learn to worry less about others' intent and more about the effect others' actions are having on us. No longer are we in the game of rooting out unhealthy motives, and here's the good news. When we reflect on alternative motives, not only do we soften our emotions, but equally important, we relax our absolute certainty long enough to allow for dialogue, the only reliable way of discovering others' genuine motives. So the next one is turn the helpers into the able. Finally, when you catch yourself bemoaning your own helplessness, you can tell the complete story by returning to your original motive. To do so, stop and ask, what do I really want? For me, for others, for the relationship. Then kill the sucker's choice that made you feel helpless to choose anything other than silence or violence. Do this by asking, what would I do right now if I really wanted these results? For example, you now find yourself insulting your coworker for not pitching in with a tough job. Your coworker seems surprised at your strong and out of the blue reaction. In fact, she's staring at you as if you've slipped a cog. You, of course, have told yourself that she is purposefully avoiding noxious tasks and that, despite your helpful hints, she has made no changes. I have to get brutal, you tell yourself. I don't like it, but if I don't offend her, I'll be stuck doing the grunt work forever. You've strayed from what you really want to share work equally and to have a good relationship. You've given up on half of your goals by making a sucker's choice. Oh well, better to offend her than to be made a fool. What should you be doing instead? Openly, honestly, and effectively discussing the problem, not taking pot shots and then justifying yourself. When you refuse to make yourself helpless, you're forced to hold yourself accountable for using your dialogue skills rather than bemoaning your weaknesses. And so tell new stories. Am I pretending not to notice my role in the problem? Yeah. And yeah. It is kind of awesome, that these little things come up. So watch for these 3 clever stories. Analyze your stories. Get back to the facts. So watch for these 3 clever stories. As we begin to piece together why people are doing what they're doing, or equally important, why we're doing what we're doing, with time and experience, we become quite good at coming up with explanations that serve us well. Either our stories are completely accurate and propel us in healthy directions, or they're quite inaccurate but justify our current behavior, making us feel good about ourselves and calling for no need to change. It's the second kind of story that routinely gets us into trouble. For example, we move into silence or violence and then we come up with a perfectly plausible reason for why it's okay. Of course I yelled at him. Did you see what he did? He deserved it. Hey, don't be giving me the evil eye. I had no other choice. We call these imaginative and self-serving concoctions clever stories. They're clever because they allow us to feel good about behaving badly. Better yet, they allow us to feel good about behaving badly even while achieving abysmal results. Among all these clever stories we tell, here are the 3 most common. There's the victim story. It's not my fault. Victim stories, as you might imagine, make us out to be the innocent sufferers. The theme is always the same. The other person is bad and wrong, and we are good and right. Other people do bad things, and we suffer as a result. In truth, there is such a thing as an innocent victim. There is such a thing. You're stopped in the street and held up at gunpoint. When an event such as this occurs, it's a sad fact, not a story. You are a victim. But all tales of victimization are not so one-sided. When you tell a victim story, you ignore the role you played in the problem. You tell your story in a way that judiciously avoids facts about whatever you have done or neglected to do that might have contributed to the problem. For instance, last week your boss took you off a big project and it hurt your feelings. You complained to everyone about how bad you felt. Of course, you failed to let your boss know that you were behind on an important project, leaving him high and dry, which is why he removed you in the first place. This part of the story you leave out because, hey, he made you feel bad. To help support your victim stories, you speak of nothing but your noble motives. I took longer because I was trying to beat the standard specs. And then you tell yourself that you're being punished for your virtues and not your vices. He just doesn't appreciate a person with my superb attention to detail. This added twist turns you from victim into martyr. What a bonus. So the villain stories, and it's all your fault. We create these nasty little tales by turning normal, decent human beings into villains. We impute bad motive, and then we tell everyone about the evils of the other party as if somehow we're doing the world a huge favor. For example, we describe a boss who is zealous about quality and as a control freak. So we describe a boss who is zealous about quality as a control freak. When our spouse is upset that we didn't keep a commitment, we see him or her as inflexible and stubborn. In victim stories, we exaggerate our own innocence. In villain stories, we overemphasize the other person's guilt. We automatically assume the worst possible motives while ignoring any possible good or neutral intentions a person may have. Labeling is a common device in villain stories. For example, I can't believe that bonehead gave me bad materials again. By employing the handy label, we are now dealing not with a complex human being, but with a bonehead. Not only do villain stories help us blame others for bad results, but they also set us up to then do whatever we want to the villains. After all, we can feel okay insulting or abusing a bonehead, whereas we might have to be more careful with a living, breathing person. Then, when we fail to get the results we really want, we stay stuck in our ineffective behavior because, after all, look who we're dealing with. Watch for the double standard. When you pay attention to victim and villain stories, you catch them for what they are, unfair characterizations. You begin to see the terrible double standard we use when our emotions are out of control. When we make mistakes, we tell a victim story by claiming our intentions were innocent and pure. Sure, I was late getting home and didn't call you, but I couldn't let the team down. On the other hand, when others do things that hurt us, we tell villain stories in which we invent terrible motives for others based on how their actions affected us. You were so thoughtless, you could have called me and told me you were going to be late. And then there's the helpless stories of there's nothing else I can do. Yeah. Finally come helpless stories. In these fabrications, we make ourselves out to be powerless to do anything. We convince ourselves that there are no healthy alternatives for dealing with our predicament, which justifies the action we're about to take. A helpless story might suggest, if I didn't yell at my son, he wouldn't listen. Or on the flip side, if I told my husband this, he would just be defensive. While villain and victim stories look back to explain why we're in the situation we're in, helpless stories look forward to explain why we can't do anything to change our situation. It's particularly easy to act helpless when we turn others' behavior into fixed and unchangeable traits. For example, when we decide our boss is a control freak, a villain story, we are less inclined to give him feedback because, after all, control freaks like him don't accept feedback. That's the helpless story. Nothing we can do will change that fact. As you can see, helpless stories don't stem from villain stories and typically offer us nothing more than the sucker's choices. And so, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Pretty awesome and interesting. And it does relate to a couple of things. Yeah, and a couple of stories. And stories that we tell ourselves all the time that we may not even realize. Yeah, that kind of constrict and bind, like our own perceptions. Yeah, keep us from seeing the whole story, the true story, and what is really happening. But yeah, just that need to justify. And so I did write a little bit about that this week as well, which is interesting. And I did open this book, Dreambody by Arnold Mindell. And I opened it to page 78. And this is the Dreambody in fairy tales. And at the bottom of page 78, there is this little section that's talking about water. And so water is the element of the equinox that we just had, our autumn equinox. And just looking at water and playing with the water right now. And that has a relation, correspondence to Alligator, as well. And so I just thought that was interesting. And so, that's a little bit of what I read yesterday, I believe. In the beginning of the tale, there's this doctor that dreams that he should ask the first person that he meets to be a godfather. Dreaming of asking the first person to be godfather means that one should ask the next moment in time to be one's protector or father. And so I thought that was interesting. Dreaming of asking the first person to be godfather means that one should ask the next moment in time to be one's protector or father. The Chinese would say, let the Tao be your guide. The main symbols for the Tao are streaming, change, horned dragons, and the flow of water. Aqua vitae, or water of life, was associated with Mercury, the sap of life, and the sparkling water. The astrological symbol of the water bearer, Aquarius, is pictured pouring water onto the ground, portraying how winter rains nourish potential life in the springtime. Dreams of water often refer to rebirth experiences. I am reminded of the rains mentioned in the poetry of a woman suffering from schizophrenia who went through her insanity under the controlled environment of the Lane Clinic in England, and who was reborn through her ecstasy and suffering. She wrote of rains bringing new life out of an old dead tree. Here, water was the violence and healing quality of her experience. Here, water was the violence and healing quality of her experiences. Water appeared in a healing scene I recently observed. A modern healer laid her hands on a patient, saying, "Imagine the light, release all emotions, see the golden beam of light. This is God. Breathe the light into your heart center. This is the perfect heart of understanding. Feel love in your heart for yourself. Feel the heart center. Experience the heart. This light is perfect harmony. When it is present, there is no other element. When it is present, no other element can live in you. It is energy, cleaning out your aura. It is water, crystal clear water, which overflows and circulates in the body. It is perfect light. No one is in your aura. Energy and love are there. You can use this same feeling or light to clean out other things in yourself. Use this for cleansing." The references to light and water connect Godfather Death's candles from the previous tale to the water of the present healing God. In healing ceremonies, light, love, release of emotions, energy flow, circulation, harmony, and crystal clear water are all descriptions of curative experiences. The water is a description of free-flowing energy that cleans the body by unlocking egotism and its resulting cramps. Vegetation is closely connected to water in many myths. For example, the ancient Slavic peoples employed water and water plants in getting rid of demons. The tearweed was used with the following prayer: "Tearweed, tearweed, thou hast wept much and for a long time, but thou hast gained little. May thy tears not flow in the open field, and thy sobs not sound over the blue sky. Frighten wicked demons, demi-demons, and old witches. If they do not submit to thee, then drown them in thy tears." Wow, that's really awesome, actually. Because that reminds me of something I read in Women Who Run with the Wolves in the Handless Maiden story, about the handless maiden when she cried and cried and cried over her stumps, and then the devil couldn't touch her because her tears protected her, because it was, that expression that came from within that helped cleanse her. And then it wouldn't allow her to be influenced by that external evil that was trying to steal her life. And so that is interesting too, that evil spelled backwards is live, and it's reversed. So there's a lot of things coming up around the water, the river, the waters of life, the mirror, seeing and cleansing our perceptions. So all those things, all those awesome things. And so I'm gonna leave it at that for now. But there was other things that I was going to tie into that. There's a few things that relate, but we'll see how they come in and through. And so Yeah, that's what I was writing about today, which is kind of interesting. The mirror and the clear image of God, the vine, the ivy, the purple flowers, yellow flowers, bumblebees, Venus, hexagon, honey, the sweetness of life, the cosmic mind, the hive mind, harmony and temperance, and service to the whole, the world egg, the world tree, the serpent, the dragon, the eagle, the squirrel, and the three fates, caring for the roots and repairing what has been unconsciously torn apart or injured through ignorance and forgetting. Yeah. Moving steadily through the shadows in order to come more fully into the light. So shine, be yourself, be the lighthouse, be love and enjoy, wake up and play. It's all love for all you, okay? It's all right. Thinking about error, trial and error, miscreations and original sin. The Aeon Sophia and her progeny, the Pleromas, singularities, and the fall into her dream. The dream body, the dream weave, and the dancing healers, the shaman's body, the body of light, and all those I thought were right, true, and worthy, arrived. Those who I placed on a pedestal, those who I looked up to, those that helped me to rise, those that helped me to see with new eyes, unclouded by hate, fear, and self-loathing, those that were bright lights in my life, those that were guides, helpers, healers on my path, through their path, those that are part of my tribe, those that are lost in the tribal mind, and those that are afraid of their light, like mind, those that are waking up, awakening, and in the process, their own due time, those that are playing their roles for us all, those that are shining, and those that are whole, those that are powerful, the sisterhood of the rose, under the rose, secrets and revelations, that which is hidden, returning and being illuminated, brought out and forth into the light of awareness, being revealed to those who are willing and able to see, those that are precious and eternally dear to me, those that are beloved and a whole part of everything, those that are remembering, individuating, and those that are deep in forgetting, those that are participating and reinforcing slavery and tyranny for their own comfort, safety, and security, vilifying, dehumanizing, devaluing, demeaning, dismissing, disowning, dissing, disrespecting, dishonoring everyone's rights to choose to be light, freely, fully, right to be. We are all right to be. Thinking about all we cannot be to be worthy of belonging, or enough to be worthy of this belonging. And all those old bullshit dogmas: domination, poverty, lack and control, dependence, bondage, compliance, fear and scarcity, lack of control, not enough or too much mentality of it's not safe to be free and it's not right to be whole. Yeah. And so there's strange things at play. I solemnly swear I am up to good, and now I will go make some mischief and play with the fool. Here's some new challenges on top of your challenges. Thanks, universe. I appreciate that. Acknowledge how far I've come, acknowledge what I've overcome, and realize I'm a champion of the light and the fertile dark, a champion of all I am. Letting go of needing to please and be validated or in the right. Taking a risk and taking a chance, being willing to bite. Badger medicine, moose medicine, jaguar, black panther, wild boar, turkey medicine, crow and raven, peacock medicine, swan medicine, canary medicine, parrot medicine, swallow medicine, hummingbird, eagle, beaver, blue heron medicine. There has been so much confusion, and many, many, many are confused. It's understandable how confused some souls really are right now. There's so much toxic programming and self-destructive, sacrificial lamb, martyr, savior, victim, villain, hero, monster, damsel in distress, codependent, narcissist, and child surrogate parent dynamics at play, playing out on the stage. But I'm telling new stories, opening, softening, allowing an opening to wider, fuller, truer perspectives, whole possibilities, and whole directions, infinite expressions of energy. Remember, surrender, relax, trust, enjoy, slow down, go inward, be the love I am, and be interested, present, engaged, flexible. Just surrender and be here. And trust. Yeah, trust. Working on trust. So Trust and let go. I trust and let go. It's okay not to know. I trust my intuition, my heart, my body, my soul. I trust my inner knowing and my spiritual flow. I trust myself. I trust my life. I trust my guidance. I trust my light. I trust my voice. I trust myself. I trust my love is safe, supported, held. I am accountable. I am impeccable. I am doing my best. I am devoted. I am honest. I am fair, just, and balanced. I am in harmony with life and myself. I am walking in beauty. I am bright. I am abundant. I am joy. I am beautiful. I am bountiful. I am loving, kind, and full. I am all that I am. All this true, full soul. Durga slays the demons of fear with her eternal devotion to all she holds dear. Relax into love and know I am God. Some things are God's business, and God works through mysterious ways. Love always, I love always. Making room, making space, love always. I trust love, I trust the universe, I trust my place. I trust my life, I trust the plan. I trust this process of ascension, purification, and transformation. I trust that all is well and all shall be well. So it is, all is well and in balance. True harmony. Interesting that it just gets to be in flux right now, up in the air or concealed, hidden, awaiting to be revealed, awaiting, revealing, unveiling. How well can we sit with the discomfort or let go and trust right now to lead us to this next moment of now, the next and the next and the next, right here now. Begin again, surrender right now. So yeah, that's all I'm going to share of that for now. Is there anything else that wants to be shared? Yes, there's two things. So I've been looking at the myth of Inanna and Ereshkigal again, and that one is one of my favorite stories and my favorite myths, and it has been coming up a lot of me to help me shapeshift my current situation, and to help me integrate all of these things that I've learned about me and we in the last 8 months or so. And I don't know why that number just came out, but I'm going to go with that. And maybe you go back and review. Yeah. What have I been working with for the last 8 months? So, we'll see what can be seen about that. And so, I wrote a little bit about that yesterday. And Inanna is the queen of heaven, and Ereshkigal is the queen of below. And so it's uniting the above and the below, linking the two that are one. So the story of Inanna is about all of us and our ascension process. The darkness and the dark goddess must be seen, acknowledged, and surrendered to. We all must face our own ego death of all we think we are, all we have ever known, all we have ever been, or owned, or been attached to. Inanna goes through 7 gates in her journey through the underworld, and at each gate, a gateway or a stargate or an energy center or a portal, she must leave a prized possession of great value to pass through that gate, until at last she comes to the last gate, and she must remove her garments, her very last possession. These are all the roles and the clothes that she's ever worn and ever known. She must surrender all her adornments, all her veils, to go below. She comes to see her sister, queen of the below, her other half, the scorned one, the reject, the denied one, the outcast, the hidden one, the dark hidden one. And she looks her in the eye and is instantly annihilated by a death stare of absolute rage. Inanna's body is hung on meat hooks, and she's left to rot for 3 days. Then there are 2 magical helper beings that come into the underworld to bring Inanna back from the dead. They show empathy and compassion to Ereshkigal to help soothe her soul. They do this by mirroring her pain. They mirror her pain to her by showing her they see her and they hear her. They acknowledge her and they hold space for her. They are the first ones to ever do this for her, and her rage transforms into mercy, forgiveness, and compassion. She returns Inanna's body to the 2 helpers to be brought into the light of wholeness, and the 2 are never the same again, for they are whole in union again. We're healing and revealing the wounds of the divine feminine through our lives, stories, roles, relationships, and lenses, clearing our perceptions, transforming this pain and all this hidden shame through compassion, mercy, presence, through seeing into her pain, empathy, forgiveness, and mirroring. So it makes me now think of the unclaimed power hidden in the shadow that sparkles and reveals to us our whole golden garden soul. Our garden soul, our golden soul, our garden soil. That myth is one of my favorites, and it holds so much of who I am, who we are, and who we've always been. Love always, sunshine, sunshine. Yeah, the light shines with every single ray of the sun. Every single ray. The cracks within, let the light shine through from the inside. Spiral out, radiate truth, love, and joy. Free yourself, love is fullness, the ultimate truth of eternal being, emanating brilliance and our own true frequencies. Yeah. So that story, how holds so much for me, and I do realize how much and how significant and how profound it is for me, because there is that part of ourselves that hasn't been able to express herself. She hasn't been held. The space hasn't been able to be held for her to express her deep rage, her deep sorrow, her deep grief, and her deep pain, because of all the other distractions and the self-justifications and the clever stories. Yeah. We go around and around and around and around on the wheel of suffering, perpetuating the same. And so making the room and making the space for something different to occur, for something new to be born. Letting go of the old and the old ways of doing things and the old familiar, comfortable strategies. Letting go of old core beliefs that no longer align with who I am and no longer align with what I know to be true, no longer are necessary. And so, compassion, forgiveness, and mercy and understanding for all the pain that we have gone through and all we're going through right now. All the confusion and the illusion, like all the distortions of mistruths. Yeah. Forgiving the manipulation and the deception and the trickery, and reclaiming all that is right to be. Letting go of wrongs to make it all right. Letting go of my own wrongs to claim my rights. Letting go of all I saw as wrong about me and we. Letting it go and setting love free and asking to see with new eyes, unclouded by judgment, fear, and hate. And not enough for me and we. Yeah, all those old stories and that mentality, that poverty consciousness and lack mentality. Yeah, I will no longer agree to vilify others and make others wrong so that I can justify me. And I am willing to see things as they are, and I am willing to call out errors and call out things that are not true, and things that distort the truth, and things that harm, that cause harm. And I'll ask for help to do that in a loving, kind way, in a generous way, in an authentic way that doesn't perpetuate more harm. And so if it does cause discomfort, that's a different thing, because sometimes we need to get out of that comfort zone and that illusion of control. So just making peace with that. And there was one more thing that I wanted to share, because I read this the other day, and actually when I first got the book a couple weeks ago, but there's so many new books that I got. This one is by Saul Luckman, and it's called Potentiate Your DNA. I like how it's all orange. And this is the first page that I flipped open to when I got it. It was 152. And it says, know that all healing is self-healing. Share this with you. We live in a global culture with such a skewed view of what healing actually is that this point needs to be highlighted. Although healing often includes alleviating or eliminating symptoms, healing, or holing, must not be confused with simple curing. Whereas curing is designed to make the problem go away, no questions asked and no insights gained, healing is a very different activity. True healing embraces the problem, which is actually a teaching tool employed by our higher self as a way of integrating and being transformed by it. Curing focuses on symptoms without realizing they are spiritual messages. Curing focuses on symptoms without realizing they are spiritual messages. By contrast, healing is a body-mind-spirit phenomenon involving an increase in awareness that takes the form of a transformational step on our evolutionary journey of conscious personal mastery. At its heart, healing teaches us to love ourselves and others unconditionally and moreover to see others as ourselves. This line of reasoning establishes that 1. Healing is inseparable from loving, and 2. Loving leads to a higher state of awareness that has been called unity consciousness. In this ultimately individualized process, very often the problem disappears, but not because we have ignored it or forced it to go away. In this ultimately individualized process, very often the problem disappears, but not because we have ignored it or forced it to go away. Rather, the problem is simply no longer of use to us because our dysfunctional relationship, which is always a variety of victim consciousness, to the underlying factors creating the problem has been healed consciously. While we can facilitate healing in another through DNA activation, often with astonishing results, in the end we cannot make a person benefit from the transformational energies we offer. In any part, conscious or otherwise, of the recipient's body, mind, spirit refuses to accept the DNA activation energies to that extent the person will not experience healing or transformation. This includes ourselves. In all cases, whether we perceive ourselves as the one doing the healing or the one being healed, it is up to the individual to integrate deeply and unconditionally the energetic reconfiguration that authentic DNA activation is capable of establishing. The view that all healing is really self-healing is strongly supported by Glenn Ryan's inspiring research in DNA's response to coherent emotions. As mentioned in the introduction, Dr. Ryan found that positive emotions fortify DNA, making DNA more robust and arguably more available for activation, healing, and transformation. On the other hand, negative emotions tend to damage DNA so that it cannot be easily activated through linguistically expressed consciousness. It is up to us as individuals to determine and, if necessary, upgrade which emotions we regularly experience as well as which emotionally charged attitudes we typically entertain so that our DNA can be activated successfully. At the very least, we must be receptive to the idea of healing ourselves in order actually to do so. At the very least, we must be receptive to the idea of healing ourselves in order actually to do so. Even a minimal willingness to undergo positive change can set the stage for remarkable benefits to unfold through potentiation and the regenetics method. To understand that healing is always self-healing is to grasp the primary role of free will in this process. Nothing about healing is predetermined. To the contrary, healing is a quantum unfoldment that at each instant respects our own myriad boundaries as to how fast and how radically we are willing to transform. Such boundaries can be conscious. They also can be subconscious, ancestral, and even karmic. Theoretically, we can heal and change overnight, and some people do. But more often, healing is an incremental, cumulative, and eventually exponential process that allows us to consciously integrate its numerous transformational lessons at a manageable rate. So I thought that was great, and next time I will share a little bit more and further into that. Yeah, that was awesome. I super appreciate that. And it's about mastering Potentiate Your DNA, a practical guide to healing and transformation. Master your potentiation techniques. And so, super interesting and awesome. And one more thing that I thought about that relates is that, it's so awesome actually to have all kinds of healing resources and helpers and allies, and to call on those healers to help us activate and catalyze our own healing, And so it is so great that that we all hold certain gifts for each other and we can help each other heal. And as we help others heal, we're helping ourselves heal, and it's all connected and it's all related. And so there was some amazing things that I got to share with some loved ones and some friends this week. And I wanted just to say thank you too. Like, I am so super grateful. And I really do acknowledge like my progress and the things that I've overcome and how far I have come, especially in the last 5 years and in the last 10 years and in the last 20 years. Yeah, I can see like how far I really have come. And I'm just so like really proud of myself. And I acknowledge like, yeah, all the work and the efforts and the help that I have had and all the blessings and all the magic, yeah, that I am aware of. And all the gifts that keep giving, forgiving. And I had a friend come over and offer me a Reiki session for my birthday. It was a late birthday gift, and I was grateful to receive that, and was willing to trust and open and receive that. And it was really cool, like some of the things that she told me, some of the images or things that she envisioned around like certain energy centers. And it was really kind of cool. And I wrote a little bit about that, like of what I could remember. And it does help me remember that I am strong. I'm a lot stronger than I think I am. Yeah. And so don't believe everything that you think sometimes, you know. And so I had written just a little bit about some things that I could remember. And some things that I enjoyed. Oh, but it must be, I'm looking in the wrong journal. Need to go back to the old one. Yeah, so funny. It's probably on my last page. Yeah. So what I wrote, God is the light of the heavens and the light of the earth. Focus on the light. Focus on the basics. Mastery of the basics is mastery of the self. Mastery of the mind is mastery of the self. Simplicity is reciprocity, receptivity. Authenticity, humility, legitimacy. Encouragement, hospitality, unity, individuality. Differentiation and generosity. Empathy and willingness to trust and be free. To make the room, hold the space, and free all this love to be received. As it is and as it needs to be, as it is and as it gets to be, as it is and as it will be, as it is and shall be. And so it is. The Patient's Bill of Rights, the Nuremberg Code, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the U.S., the Law of One, universal laws, codes and keys of creation, free will, sovereign nation, souverain. My crown as strong as shining diamonds, my third eye as the starry night, endless jewels, endless night sky, multi-dimensional halo, sparkling, precious crown, connected and reflected to turn this all around. My throat is in balance, aligned and spinning, loosening the corset that held me in and bound, kept me safe, removing the blocks and self-imposed limits that constrict and keep me bound. Stretching and toning, developing muscles of the soul, my heart, a beautiful garden, a wide expansive meadow, endless fields, infinite beauty, my fertile sanctuary playground. My solar plexus, my navel, a shining Leo sun, bright rays, brilliant faith, brilliant sun. I know who I am and my true full riches, my sacral, a living light, a sacred place of plenty, a rich desert teeming with life, the Shangri-La oasis, revealing what has always been here, underneath the surface. I am a creator and a weaver, a builder, a bridge, and I am strong. I am planted, rooted in devotion, love for the whole, and love for myself, love for the one, love for the mother and everyone else, wink, wink, and all the self, the whole self, the creator and all of creation, all of thyself, all parts of the whole, messages and gifts, insights, shifts, creative sharing and transformation. The mirror and the words we call in and call out, and our intentions and strategies to figure it all out, to have certainties, to avoid those doubts, security, safety, and relief, that relief of belonging. Let thy wisdom emerge from my folly. The twins and the double, the magical other, life is a mirror. Seeing things are significant. Yeah, seeing things that are significant solely to the observer, and the art of mirroring empathy and authenticity. Just letting go, death and rebirth, knowledge crone sage. Are you ready to be seen? That is the question, flight or freeze. That is the question, free or freeze. That is the question, let it be, set love free, and just be me. Self-love, just be yourself, be the lighthouse, be my love for me and we. I am willing, yes, yes, life, yes, yes, love, yes, yes, love, be free. I am an engine of mass creation, and I dream this new life into being. I am guided, I am holy, I am my love for all of me and we. She and thee, I am all that I am. I am all that I know I am. I'll be this love for me and we. I'll be this love, so be. And all we get to be, all we are, and all we see, bright, brilliant, foolish, happy, joyful, and free. Be all that you are, just be. And that was the end of my journal that I finished the other day. And I think I'll just leave it at that and say thanks for joining me, thanks for listening, and thanks for being here. I love you. I hope you are loving yourself and enjoying yourself and having fun playing with yourself and seeing into yourself and moving through, moving forward and through yourself, getting over your small self to claim your whole, true, full, whole self. Yeah, all that good stuff. All that whole self, all that love for our whole selves. All right, I love y'all. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.